Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to, whatever. But I mean, like, I don't care what area of your life it is, until you get your mind right, you're never going to get any of those areas of your life.
The Move Entrepreneur Evolved podcast. Get on it. All right. So here we are at the Moved Entrepreneur Evolved podcast again. And our special guest is Michelle Barnes. And with this social impact new release book, I'm excited to talk about that as well. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
I'm excited to hear, and learn some things from you and to go for there, and seem to have a great, exciting personality. So I'm sure we're going to come up with a lot of stuff. I brought two things. You can make a choice. I don't know how to get them there quickly, but I did bring some organic coconut water if you would like some during your appearance.
Perfect.
Here. And then I have this shake here where I always do these, and throughout the day, I'm like, I should have chilled it a little more. So this has kind of been here a little bit. So I'm not going to say that's the greatest, but I do have a Jolly Rancher. So
okay. Who doesn't like a Jolly Rancher? You know what I
That's
mean?
how I thought. I thought I would try to break the ice a
water
little
bottle
bit.
that's like an appendage that's like with me all the time.
Very cool. Well, let's jump into this. So,
okay.
Would you say that as for yourself, you have the social impact? There's a lot of shifts that have happened in business. And obviously our topic is in business here and entrepreneurs that are on the show. And I want to kind of go back and look back into personally, when you were younger, where was the shift for you when you said, I'm going to kind of go and be my own person? Because being an entrepreneur or being somebody that's going to go out and do something to impact others usually has something inside of them. When did that start for you?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question, Jason. And that fires me up. I was actually just thinking about this. So weird when I was getting ready earlier today. I think I've literally been an entrepreneur since birth. It sounds crazy, but I was an only child. My mom was a single mom. She had me at 18 and we didn't have any money. We had nothing. So for me, I wasn't a big play with dolls type of person, but I always started businesses. I always had these pretend businesses. So I always had the pretend businesses. And then I started, I had a paper route when I was 10. I was babysitting by the time I was 11. I had my first real job at 14 waiting tables at a little hole in the wall Mexican restaurant in the ghetto in Denver, and where I grew up in the hood. And
were you a waitress at the time?
I was. They didn't serve alcohol.
Can you tell me something that was on the menu?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, it was a Mexican restaurant. So obviously smothered burritos, tostadas, the number 4 was the best.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4. That's what we're ordering. Okay.
Yeah. If you ever go to Taco House in the hood,
you know what? That's the thing. Taco House probably was a place where you, cut your cloth, you kind of put yourself out there, you create those relationships, and waitressing is a great place to do that. Was that kind of was that, I don't want to take anything from you saying that you didn't have a personality before, because I could already tell you do. But would you say that was the first time you expressed it in a transactional way of going, hey, if I say these certain things, then I get specific reactions?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely doing that. And then, I worked at it was Osco Drugs, and then it turned into Payless. It's kind of like a CVS or a Walgreens. So then I worked, customer service there. So I was always a people person, kind of the most extroverted introvert, I guess, always had kind of some shy things about me. But, once I was in a good space, then I was in my jam with people. But I've always loved working with people, always.
It's interesting because that, going along with, obviously we'll talk a little bit more about your social impact book that you have, but that early on was another way of creating a social impact. At the time, obviously things changed. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take you back a minute. So in 2010, it was the end of 2010. And you had made a comment. And what I think is super cool about social and things like that is I kind of can go back and kind of see transitions, right? And so that's kind of the cool thing about life. But I think some of the things that you had as you transitions were pretty cool. So it was 2010, and I'll set the stage a little bit. 2010 was the year of basically the what are we going to do with e-commerce, and what are we going to do with transitioning business into digital. The real estate was crashing and everything like that. And you had made a comment at the end of that time. You said, my 2-year-old just brought me blue index cards and said, set goals. Love that. Many of you will know what this means. So I think it'd be interesting to take you back to 2002 as your evolution of what you were doing at the time. What was that like at that time? Because maybe you're not where you are today, right? It sounded like you had other things going on during that time as a go-getter, I guess I would say.
Wow. So, so I've been an entrepreneur, like full on. I dropped out of law school, 26 years ago, and started my entrepreneur journey. And, 2008, I think, was when 2007, 2008 is when I got on social media, on Facebook. I mean, I was like, dabbled on MySpace and weird things like that. But that was really the first thing. And then that's so funny that you brought that up. So I'm kind of a psycho about the blue index cards. Mine are right here still to this day. It's something that I've done and taught for 26 years, to put your goals in the present tense on blue index cards with blue ink. And obviously our children, I have 2 boys. I'm a single mom and the sole provider of 2 boys. They're 10 and 13 now, which is crazy. But that was really cool because my 2-year-old at the time, I was probably pregnant with my second one. He started at a very young age putting his goals on blue index cards with blue ink in the present tense. He's done it for things like iPhones and stuff like that in the past, of course, and to get straight A's to get the iPhone, but yeah, that's so crazy to look at how everything has evolved with social media. I was always a belly to belly, face to face, coffee shop appointments, meetings, hotel meetings. I've done every way that you could possibly think of building a business in the network marketing and direct sales realm. I've done it. And so I was a little kind of hesitant at first because, like social media, I mean, I remember the first friend that told me about Facebook. And I was like, like that sounds sketchy, like people have your information and they're seeing pictures of you and your family. Like, I don't know about this. And now it's literally, my team does 8-9 million in sales a month because of Facebook, and because of social media.
Yeah. So
it's crazy just how much it's changed, even in just 10 years. I mean, I used to post the dumbest stuff, 10, 12 years ago, it's back when you would just say where your name was and say Michelle Barnes, and it'd be like, is taking a bath. Like, who gives a crap,
Well, I feel like I feel like a total stalker, but I will say that as you go through these things, I feel like a stalker when I do it, but I think it creates a uniqueness in pulling back and saying that there's things that do happen, what was going on during that time. And if you were actually setting those goals, certain things are happening. And I saw something, and I think that it was quite interesting. And there was something that you've done in like 2012, and it was you said 3 amazing parts to this company. You said you have a 12-week transformational virtual trainer at your fingertips. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because right now, everything is this virtual experience, boot camps, things like that. We always had them then, but it seems like in 2012, this wasn't happening as much as it is today. Do you kind of get where I'm getting at that? When
I love that you brought that up, Jason.
What was going on during, if you can remember back then, I'm pulling you back a little bit, but as you were putting together a campaign like that, looking back on how many people you probably had on lives through social selling, right? Compared to then, what was it like back then? Was it people weren't showing up for your stuff? What was your experience?
I think you said that was 2012. So, okay. So I was just starting to really do more digitally. I was still doing all the meetings and flying all over the country and all over the world speaking and whatever. But I was really starting to be like, I wonder how we could monetize all this social media. I'm wondering how we can leverage social media and use social media as a platform to help more people, because I always felt like locally right here in Colorado, and Colorado was like where I had the most customers, where I had the biggest team, because I was here. When I lived in California, I had a big team in California. So I was like, how can we expand our reach now and actually help more people really at the end of the day. Like you're going to sell more products when you serve more people. So that was my, we had great products, and what we've always had great products. And so I thought, man, if we could help more people. So that was when we were like, what if we could help people everybody was so busy and people are just getting busier and busier. And I look at even today, people would never do today what I did 20 years ago in this business. Like they just wouldn't, there's no way, 9, 10 meetings a week, all those things. Now
because you'd be yelling at the guy on the highway because he flipped you off because you're sitting in the freeway all the time.
Yeah, no, I always say that God made me an entrepreneur because I'm like the road rage person. I'm like so sweet and nice until someone cuts me off and I'm like,
I got an interesting one. There was an interesting thing. So why do you think road rage is something that's real? And I saw this on Joe Rogan, but it was a great statement. And
I don't know. Tell me.
He had a really good answer to it. And if I'm walking down the street and you were walking past me and you were to kind of cut me off a little bit, from a 1 to 10, what do you think that you would hold bitterness or have that rage?
I mean, if you were just like, oh, sorry, excuse me.
I'm walking.
Yeah.
And I kind of cut you off a little bit.
Not that big of a deal.
Maybe a 2. You probably wouldn't say anything, right? You
I'd probably just be like, oh.
So
and if they say excuse me, I'd probably be like, rude.
The theory is that your subconscious, your monkey brain, recognizes that you're doing 70 miles an hour and that you are engulfed in this metal thing around your body, and that you are this close to really getting hurt. And you know that. So when you're going in these environments, you're running at such a high RPM that your pressure is so high that you're already at a 7. So then when someone cuts you off, you're there already.
Wow. I never thought of it like that.
And I think that another thing to think about is also maybe in management as well, right? And team building. We can kind of jump into that for a second because you do that as well through this. Yeah. But wouldn't you say like team building is kind of the same thing? When the RPMs are high and there's a lot of risk, we're a lot more snappy.
Yeah.
So then it's like risk of losing something or anything like that. So what is it? Kind of, I don't know, you just went on a small tangent, but I thought that was kind of cool going.
I love that. That's so interesting. I'm going to totally steal that and use that.
I'm just a messenger on that one. I think I understood it well, but I noticed that you did, and I will bring this up, is that there's a couple of things as you would kind of went through this, and I kind of noticed that you had mentioned a few things about business plans. And in business, what are your thoughts about in 2010, 2012 of what people are doing with actually a business plan these days? Putting to account the speed of change, right?
Yeah. I think it's almost a little unfortunate because I look back to when I first started as an entrepreneur, and it's like, there's so many things that are so much better now and so much easier and so much simple. But I think there's a lot of really valuable foundational things that I learned when I was 23 years old that aren't being taught anymore. Foundational mindset stuff,
talk about a little bit of that. That's good stuff.
Oh, like that's my jam because honestly, that's really where my passion and is in the whole mindset and goal setting and stuff like that. Because, it's never been taught. And until you get your mind right, it doesn't matter how much money you want to freaking make. It doesn't matter how successful you want to be until you get your mind right. I always say that you have to have that checkup from the neck up. And, it's like we're taught to go to 8 billion years of school, and then people get out of school and they never pick up another book. Like I read a book a week. I'm obsessed with seminars and coaches and mentors. And it's the reason why I am where I am. I was a sociology major. I never even had a real job besides waiting tables. So, I needed to find people who had the results that I had in life and learn how to do what they were doing. And more importantly, how to think how they think. And that was like, that was a very pivotal defining moment in my entrepreneurial career was, I've always wanted to be successful, right? So ever since I was little, I didn't, I saw my mom struggle and I didn't want money to always be a freaking issue. I didn't want money to dictate every freaking choice. I just got so tired of hearing, we can't afford it. Yeah, that's nice, but we can't afford it. And so, I think that it comes with like being just fed up and then making a decision. But then it's like, once you make a decision to be an entrepreneur, you're fed up, there's some dissatisfaction, you make that decision, but then like, you got to get your mind right, because most of us have so many take whatever age you are, that's how many years of programming you have, and it's either serving you or not. And it, doesn't matter how successful you are. It's like new levels, new devils, right? It's all relative. But I think when people
new
are
devils,
first
new devil.
get started,
that's pretty good.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
but yeah, it's true though, right?
Yeah.
Jason, I mean, it's like, what was like catastrophic big deal, 5 years ago, it's like, now you look back, you're like, that's nothing compared to what just happened last month, or, you know what I mean? Like, so you're always going to be, dealing with stuff. And, I think having the right mindset, I mean, everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to, whatever. But I mean, like, I don't care what area of your life it is, until you get your mind right, you're never going to get any of those areas of your life.
So
right.
Do you think do you think mind right? I think one of the things that you said, so important, and I'll say it in the mic so it's really quiet. Don't tell me. I'm a victim as well. Here's my.
No, none of.
I'm going to take it.
We've never been a victim.
But I drink organic coconut milk, so we should be okay. But
totally balance it out.
I think so. But my thing is that I don't think that a theory of this has been going with me a lot, is that I don't think people are less intelligent. I think that the majority of people just aren't thinking the way that one person is thinking. So
100%.
The elimination of certain things, or let's say the things that you're doing in your daily basis, the other person doesn't have those to deal with. So you're thinking that they're doing their certain things in a mindset, but they're not thinking about, maybe mom is sick. They're not thinking about, maybe you just lost a friend. We're all dealing with different things, right? So at the end of the day, mindset is also like, what are we going to eliminate? What do you think when you look at mindset, or even better, when you bring somebody on and build them as a team? Here's some leadership, I guess. What are some of those things, the very first thing that you say that would be an elimination? Because at the end of the day, this comes down to being able to create a transaction. That's what we're getting at, right?
For sure. Well, I'm kind of a time Nazi. So, and I wasn't in the beginning. But I always say, if you don't schedule, it's not going to happen. And, I do personal development every day. I have done it for 26 years. Even if it's 10 pages of a good book, or 10 minutes of a podcast, or 10 minutes of a, whatever it is, like I'm constantly feeding my brain the good stuff. My kids, they'll say something negative, and I'm like, keep telling yourself that, thoughts are things. And so, even my, yeah. And it's like, if you talk to anybody that's ever worked with me for even a hot minute, that they'll say that, like, thoughts are things is what I say all the time. And so, yeah, you do have to make choices. I always say that every choice we make, every second of every day, is either moving you closer to your goal or further away from your goal. And so, if I choose to binge on Netflix, sometimes I may need an outlet to just unplug and do that. And if that's okay, and it's to like kind of fill my bucket back up and not deal with kids and not deal with my business, that's one thing. But what's it really doing for my life, as far as the 5 things that I really treasure the most in my life? Is it getting me closer to those goals or further away? Watching the news, I know, and some of y'all I know probably.
It's one of I suck at trying to throw that one off. I'm not good at it. I try. And sometimes I have to be honest, I like the train wreck.
I know. And I get sucked into it. We all do, right? and especially right now, depending on what your views are, and everybody has their opinion and they all want to share it, and everybody thinks their opinion is going to change someone's mind, so it is a little bit like almost entertaining to watch. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter who the freaking president is. He or she is not going to pay your bills,
Mm.
and it's just like, again, is it making your life better? Is it making you feel better? Okay. Like, I'm a very vibrational type person. Everything that I do is based on what I think and feel. And if my thoughts aren't right and my feelings aren't right, then I know my actions and my results are not going to be right. And so I know that if something makes me feel like crap, like watching the news and watching the train wreck, then those are the results I'm creating by
Yeah.
that feeling that it's giving me. If you don't like your results, change the way you feel. So I think it lowers my vibration to do those things. And so I think when you start to become more and more aware, and once you reach a certain awareness level, once the mind is stretched to that, it never goes back. So so for me, it's more
Have
of
you
an
ever
awareness
have you done a time study?
a time study. What is that?
So a time study increments, you can do them within 10 minutes, you can do them 5 minutes, 15 minutes increments. And I'll make sure I send you over one and you can take a look at it. But it can do about 10 or 15-minute increments. And you take your entire day and you take 5 days and you take these incremented pieces, 15 minutes, 25, whatever that is. You could do 30 minutes, whatever you can muster up. You talked about going to law school, and I've been around a lot of attorneys, and they can do the whole, like, I just did this for 15 minutes. They've got that down, right?
That's not my personality.
Yeah. So
that's why I dropped out.
No. So that's why I have a story that when I got onto the internet the very first time, I was in Waikiki in Hawaii, and I was sitting on like the eighth floor of the outrigger. And I said, you know what am I going to do? I worked for Harley Davidson at the time. And I was like, what else am I going to do? And I remember going, I could be an attorney and I could be like that guy up there. And I was like, I ain't going to law school. So there goes that. I didn't move on. Terrible. But anyways, a time study.
Saved yourself tons of money.
I did. Well, I'm with an attorney now, so at least I got the gavel.
Oh, well, there you go.
So with that though, a time study is broken up in 10 or 15-minute increments. Yeah. And throughout the entire day, you break your 15-minute increments down. And what you'll find is you'll say, holy smokes, I wasn't productive like I thought.
Okay. So what's so funny is I've never heard it called that, but I really love that. But in my time management seminars and in my time management talks, what I do is I have people document their days in basically just journal. I've never heard the word time study, but that's what I have them do is I have them document for 7 days straight, every 10 minutes, what they're spending their time on. And it really is eye-opening. Someone had me do it probably 25 years ago. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I waste a lot of freaking time.
When I would mark down what I was doing, that was my elephant brain. When I did not mark it down and I missed it, I realized that it was my monkey brain was in charge.
Interesting. Huh.
And when you realize you're like, if I don't sit here in the 15-minute marker, say what I did, then I really wasn't in control anyways, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
And it just kind of fades away. So yeah, a time study is like a really good thing. So let's make another shift, what you think is super cool. And that is exciting times that happen in our lives because of like the success or whatever we did. And you had a post in here. It wasn't too far out. And you said, turning the page, and we're going to be $1 billion team. We decided how much, if this is ours, 2014 is going to be one of the best years of our team has ever seen. And in this, just to kind of set context, you build sales teams. That's what you do. And you do it in the network marketing. And my question would be, what did that feel like? Because I think being a part of certain things, sometimes you're not the one on the top, but being a part of cool things is sometimes just fun because you can attach yourself to their energy. But what was that like during that time? That was just so you know, I didn't realize it, but I'm catching all these end of Decembers.
Wow. And I love that you're bringing up all these memories. I mean, that was my last company. Okay. And we were literally, just doubling year after year. Our volume was doubling, our sales were doubling. It was insane growth, and it was such an exciting time. People, I always say energy's caught, not taught, right? And energy is everything, and everything is energy. And it's like, it was like success just bred more success because what we were doing was so exciting. I think we're seeing that again where I'm at now, where
Mhm.
it's been exciting for the last 6 years that I've been with my new company, but it's getting to that like crazy, just sick and wrong, fun energy, you know?
Sure.
so, so it is. I mean, like, that's where like people are just like, let's go. Like, I don't even know what the hell you're doing, but the energy that's just feels so good. Like, I want to be a part of it. So, that's funny that you brought that up because that is a good feeling, and it's a good feeling for everybody, you know?
Now, after that, you had just kind of mentioned, you were saying that you had gotten into another company, and as you kind of start growing that and you build that presence, fundamentally, you're in the sales business. And I think that something that's quite interesting in the network marketing business and the organic business of generating and things like that, for people that are doing sales nowadays, there's a lot of internal network marketing that is really getting locked into the ecosystem of sales. I believe,
100%.
meaning that a lot of the way that network marketing nurtures and pulls people down that line, you're noticing that through social media. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely not as much as network marketing, obviously. I mean, network marketing, I think that's one of the probably the biggest advantage, even for me, starting as a 23-year-old broke law school dropout, being 80 grand in debt at the time. I always say that it's a personal growth company with a pay plan attached to it.
Mm.
And the more you grow personally, the more money you're going to make. And I wish more companies, and I think people are starting to, I mean, like personal development 26 years ago, people were like, oh, you're going to another like hippie seminar, another like woo woo event where they brainwash you.
And Bob, I
And,
saw you
and
did some Bob Proctor stuff.
yeah, Bob's a dear friend of mine. He's
Very
my
cool.
personal mentor. He's a dream come true. He's one of the most amazing humans I have literally ever met in my entire life.
Very cool.
And yeah, even at 86, like he's my idol. I want to be him when I grow up because he's just at 86, 87. He's just still freaking crushing it. Yeah. He's definitely helped me. There's been defining moments in my career where Bob Proctor is the reason. So I will be forever indebted, to his teachings and just his friendship. So yeah.
So what would you say that when people get into that business, because there's always and it's not a sore thumb, it's not the right word by any means, but it's always a thing of when people say, is this a real business? What is this? Why do you think that in that business, because a lot of people that make a lot of money in this business, what is it that you think that is the
Why people
bridge?
are negative?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do
I
you think
mean,
it is that people, if they wanted to cross that bridge, what is the natural reaction? You think it's just ingrained and then it's the door's not
yeah.
open for you?
I think it's programming, I mean, and everybody knows someone who knows someone. My brother's cousins, sisters, aunt tried one of those deals and didn't make any money. And it's like, I was the same way. I mean, honestly, Jason, I almost walked out of my first meeting 26 years ago. Like literally saw products in the corner and almost turned around and walked out because I was just like, oh crap, here we go again. It's another one of these deals. I've seen these things before. And so I'm a perfect example of someone who really didn't know anything about the profession. I didn't know anything about the business, really. I just had a negative perception based on what somebody else had said or something I had heard. And, it's crazy because I think people are so much more open-minded, obviously, today than they ever have been. A lot of them not even by choice, I mean, with everything that's happened with COVID and, people losing their jobs, now with vaccination stuff. And it's just, and people having to work from home. So now people are a lot more open-minded to it and I think even just saying that I wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was 23 was like, oh my gosh, do you really want to do that? So I think it was network marketing, yes, that people had a negative perception about, but I think it was like, even if you chose to be an entrepreneur 26 years ago, it was almost frowned upon because it was risky and you should just go get a real job. I mean, even after I made 102,000 my first year, my mom was like, well, that's great, sweetie, but when are you going to go get a real job?
Mm-hmm.
Like with benefits? And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, I can pay for my own friggin' benefits with 100 grand a year,
Do you not see the
So
benefit? Do you not see the benefit?
I got benefits for days. Seriously,
So
and so I
what?
think it's like
So there's two
now it's
things.
like cool to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I think that there's two things that are quite interesting in this. And then one would be because you've built teams. And so sales teams have very interesting things, especially in this business. What would you say are some characteristics that I guess I would say that if I were to, again, here I am crossing lines, but if I were to judge you kindly, I would say like, okay, here's a personality. My quick judgment would be like, okay, this person has a certain personality. They will excel in this. What are some of the things that we're always looking to watch everybody excel, but sometimes there's superpowers that help other people and they already have those things. What are some of those that you feel are some natural superpowers that would be successful in your line of business?
Yeah, I mean, some natural superpowers are obviously confidence and belief in yourself, you know, because most people are not going to believe in this profession in the beginning. And so you've got to at least believe in yourself. And a lot of people don't. So it's sad, and I think that's honestly the number one reason why people fail in network marketing and as entrepreneurs in general, because, they don't believe in themselves enough. And it's the self-limiting beliefs that, yeah, we all have, but, how are you going to work through that? And so, obviously being good with people is always a bonus. I've always I always say, lighten up and your future will brighten up. So if people are just having fun, like people want to be around someone who's fun. If you're a freaking stick in the mud and your energy sucks, and, I always say you're either an energy giver or an energy sucker. Like there's no neutral, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're either giving energy or you're sucking energy. And most people are energy suckers. Most people would rather talk about all the negative crap going on and then they attract all that crap. So then they're even more negative. And so it's like they turn into total crap magnets. You know what I mean? So I think,
Yeah,
there are some things.
Hope is a pretty powerful word.
Yeah.
Being able to be optimistic and have hope.
Yeah.
It's a powerful feeling,
It is.
and it's a powerful tool. I'm assuming that you were saying you transitioned from one company to the other. I'm sure you had to pull those tools
couple times
to restart, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I mean, I always, even from like day one, my 3 golden rules were get excited, stay plugged in, and never quit. And so even when companies quit,
stay plugged in, and
stay
don't
plugged in,
quit.
meaning stay connected to people
I was going to say that, like, that's this interesting one, because the first one and the second one makes sense, but stay plugged in. I think that's an interesting saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people, like I said, it's like you want to stay plugged into sources that are going to empower you and that are going to where you're constantly learning and growing. And I think 97% of America really doesn't do that. They're just going through the motions and they're getting by, and they just get more of the same. And 5 years from now, they're in the same place.
I think there's a lot of Wild West going on right now too. I think there's a lot of, just, it's so much information, and then saying, what am I going to be committed to? There's a lot of the side hustle world going on. There's a mindset going on. There's a lot of, it's almost sometimes there's a lot of opportunity and then you don't know where to go. There's a lot of that going on.
Sure. Oh, it's overwhelming. There's a lot of noise right now, probably more noise than there's ever been.
So you decide to come up with something to obviously help people. And so when you did that, you obviously have a background of connecting with people, getting people to certain levels, helping them hit goals, right? That's what comes with what you're doing. As you kind of go through the transitions of social networks and things like that, and you decide to reach out to other people, you decided to come up with a book that had fundamentals in there. What inspired you to do that? Because it's a great piece to attract and get to know people. What inspired you actually to write a book?
There's a group of us that are Yeah, no, there's a group of us that are entrepreneurs, and some are new to the entrepreneur world, and some of us have been in it for decades now. And the biggest thing was we wanted to come together and kind of, and a lot of us are in different companies, different backgrounds, and there's questions that I get every day. There's, I do consulting for different companies, some network marketing, some not network marketing. And
Sure.
everybody that reaches out to me is like, God, it seems like you guys have this like social media thing like dialed in. And we do in a lot of ways. And I think, for the last 6 years, we've been like fine tuning this ATM system that we created. That's literally like people's ATM machine. It stands for ad tag message. We've been fine tuning attraction marketing, so that people aren't like total spam artists on their Facebook pages.
Let's take a second and just talk about what the word attraction marketing. I think
Mhm.
that people that go through this, what does that word, what does that mean to you?
Well, so instead of jumping down people's throat with both feet, and I think a lot of people, with network marketing, one of the kind of stigmas is, all right, make your 100 names list and go bombard all your friends and family and go be super annoying. And my number one rule for 26 years is don't be a friggin' weirdo. Like, whether you're talking to your parents, your cousin, your neighbor, like, just don't be a friggin' weirdo. Like,
Yeah.
like, I've never lost a friend because of this business, because I've always been like, hey, check this out. Like, if it's for you, cool. If not, no big deal, right? So what we've done is we've taught people how to take their offline skills and bring them online.
Mm.
And just like I taught offline, don't be a friggin' weirdo, we're teaching that to people online. And like, you could sell anything, whether it's a product or service or whatever, online, especially if you can build curiosity and
Mhm.
create urgency. And if people are like, oh my God, what is that? Like, I want to know what that is. If I hold up a bottle and you don't know the name of the company, and I'm like, oh my God, I lost 32 pounds on this product. I've kept it off for over a year and a half. I feel amazing. I mean, guess how many messages I get in my inbox going, what the hell is that? And here's my credit card. Like,
Mhm.
let's go.
The
And
power
so,
of the power of social proof, right?
yes, totally.
Mhm.
Well, social proof and also curiosity. That's really what attraction marketing is,
Mhm.
is creating curiosity and getting people, instead of, there's a difference between, spamming people, with BOGOs and sales and things like that. And also sharing a story that's like, man, I can finally fit into these freaking jeans after 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, people want to buy that feeling more than they want to buy your product. And people love to buy stuff, but they don't like to be sold. So it's like, if we can give them, find people, and there's like on social media, it's like, oh my God, there's 2 billion people on Facebook, and 99% of them want to lose a few pounds. You know what I mean? So it's not rocket science,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, even the skinniest ones on there, like, I just need to lose 5 pounds.
What would you say is what platforms in this I guess genre, I guess would say, in network marketing do really well?
Oh my God. Well, we are killing it on TikTok right now,
Okay.
which is just crazy. But TikTok is obviously, like, Facebook is huge for us, because that's where we have a lot of our communities. Instagram is huge for us. We have a lot of influencers that we work with, because of the way our model's created. Influencers can make, tons of money without recruiting anybody. But TikTok, and now Reels is obviously brand new on Facebook. Reels on Instagram, Reels on Facebook, and TikTok. The short form video is where we're crushing it right now. And talk about generating, I mean, like, so many leads. But the thing about TikTok is it's the first social media platform that I've ever seen where you can literally, with zero influence and zero following, like, have something blow up overnight,
Mhm.
like, with zero influence and zero following. Like, I mean, we have people on our team that, there's a gal that was homeless 3 years ago, who blew up on TikTok, and she's making 30,000 a month now, no money claims or anything like that. But it's just like, pretty cool to see, because
Mhm.
on Facebook, like if you only have 300 friends when I meet you and I'm teaching you attraction marketing and I'm teaching you how to build your business on social media. Well, if you have 300 friends and I have 20,000 followers, I'm going to get a lot more engagement when I post something than you are,
Sure.
right? But with TikTok, you don't have to have that influence, or, like it's just crazy. And it's so exciting and so awesome. And who knows how long it'll last. So I'm like, go balls to the wall with it now while it's hot, and
Yeah.
then, and then pivot when it's not.
Yeah, I think that what would you say are some of the fundamentals that regardless, and these are conversations that obviously are open for conversation, right? But what would you say some of the fundamentals of transitioning from different platforms are?
Um, yeah, I think most of them are very similar. I mean, it's a lot of the same kind of, build relationships. Like I'm still not TikTok, you can be a little more spammy, and a little more salesy on there. But at the end of the day, it's still building relationships, and I think that that's where a lot of people, I always say, don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20.
Mhm.
I was an overnight success. It just took 20 years, and
It was just
so
a couple of nights that were combined together.
yeah, exactly. And it's like people don't see the grind, they just see these people with thousands of followers, and it's like that didn't happen overnight. And we all started with one,
Mhm.
and we all started by setting up a Facebook account, or an Instagram account. So, I think that the fundamentals are still to be a good human. Consistency is
I was gonna say
everything,
that.
no
I was
matter
gonna
what
say, just
platform.
be a good person. Just be you,
Yeah.
right? Be you.
Yeah. Just be you, and
And a good
don't be
filter.
a weirdo.
Be good, be you with a good filter.
Yes, exactly. You always got to have a good filter,
Have a good don't be all the way you. Just
Yeah.
just be 98% and we'll be fine.
Yeah. 98% you. Exactly.
Well, that's
Um,
exciting. I think that putting together something that ultimately gives people the ability to obviously be attracted to something that they're doing. Compensation plans in this business model are
yeah.
all obviously an attractive piece. My question would be, is that also because going back in 2012 and 2010, as we were kind of making the turn, you realize it's not that long ago. I mean, even saying MySpace was
Yeah.
not that long ago. Are you finding that because of the internet, there's new genres of people that you might not have gotten many years ago? Did I say that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I mean, it's like sky's the limit, right? And I think when you are value driven and you're creating content and you're giving people value, that's where you're gonna, like I always say, your vibe attracts your tribe,
Right.
and that's where you're gonna find your humans, and that's why there's enough abundance for everybody, someone who loves my stuff, or might not like that other person's, or someone who thinks I'm totally lame is gonna love this other and that's okay. And so I do think that it has opened the doors to people being able to find their niche, and to, if they're consistent. I think that's another downfall with entrepreneurs, is they're not, with social media at least, is, well, and really as an entrepreneur in general, is they're just not consistent with what they're doing.
Sure.
So if you're consistent and you're giving value, you're attracting, you can really attract anybody you want, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, there's only, you got 5,000 friends on Facebook as far as Facebook goes.
Mhm.
And you kind of math that all out. And let's say that you probably have 20 to 20% that are like, I don't want to sell this stuff to them. What is some things that you've done in working with people? Because obviously it's working with salespeople, is that when they sign up for this type of thing or work with you or something like that, there's usually a gap that they have to jump over. And this is just the gap of showing yourself, right? So what do you tell people when social media is where they make their money and they don't want to do it? How have you convinced them in the past to
Yeah,
execute
I
through social media? Because there's so many things that are behind that.
yeah, I kind of don't anymore,
Mm.
because
Ooh, that's good. This wasn't what I was
you
expecting.
know,
Interesting.
I know, and I'm just being totally
I like
straight
it.
up,
It's great.
you know.
It's great.
Um, for me, it's like, if I got to convince them to get in and do the thing, if I got to convince them to get in, I got to convince them to stay in. And if somebody has never done anything with social media, but they have a burning desire for a better life, and they're coachable, and they're like, look, I'm scared to death to post. I'm scared to death to do videos. But if you'll help me, I'm freaking all in, and they're willing to put the work in. Oh yeah, I will take that person under my wing, all day, every day, and spend the time coaching and teaching and training them. But if, otherwise in today's day and age, it's just, social media is not going away. I mean, it might evolve, and some things might go out and some might come in, and there's always going to be the new kid on the block, social media wise. And that's where you pivot and learn how to like do that, but I still have a very like old school mentality, because the first 2 decades were total belly to belly and meetings. And so it's not like I mean, I'll still get on the phone with someone. I'll still go meet someone for a happy hour of coffee. Speaking is my jam. So like, I would love to, speaking anywhere is my passion, because I know I can like energy wise make a big difference. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to convince somebody. But if they're coachable and willing and able and willing to work, then I'm in.
I think that that's a really good statement that you're saying. I think that anybody that's watching this, I think that what you just laid out is exactly the same feeling. If you're a purchaser of anything and you're not going to take the accountability of execution, nothing's going to happen.
No.
And I think that what you just shared is just so true. No matter what it is, if you want it, you have to attach effort with the check.
Absolutely.
with the investment comes you, right? And so I think that's a great way to lay that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's with anything, right? I mean, if it's getting in shape or whatever, like, it's not gonna, it's not gonna happen sitting at home on the couch eating bonbons. It takes, it sounds so easy, like work out and eat right, but what's sounds so easy is not easy. It's simple things. I love what Jim Rohn says, easy to do, easy not to do, and that's, I think, a lot of things, even being an entrepreneur, a lot of the things are easy to do if you're willing to learn, and, everything's figure outable, so, if someone,
what is that saying? Embrace the suck. Just embrace.
Yes.
Yeah.
We say it all the time.
Yeah.
I probably say that at least 5 times a day,
I do it probably way too much, but at certain times it's not good to quote Mike Tyson, but sometimes it is. But basically, he basically is like, the thing that you hate to love, learn to love it and do it like you love it. And that's a very weird thing to do. It's totally resistant to what we have.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, though, Jason, I think that's so true, because, there's days I don't feel like, prospecting or recruiting or inviting or, jumping in a messenger or doing lives or doing trainings, but you do it anyway. And that really is, I say the difference between being average and above average is just a little bit, it's just a little tiny bit. I tell my boys that all the time. I'm like, go the extra mile, like, there's no one on it. Go the extra mile, like, like, do that extra, give that little extra oomph, like one more call, one more meeting, one more message, just one more, and that'll set you apart from the rest, because most people are just doing whatever they got to do to get by.
Yeah.
I believe that. I would say
it's the guy that makes the biggest deal on a Friday at 6:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Right.
Yeah.
It's true. And I was, for me, people always are like, well, how'd you make 102,000 your first year with, no business, being in business? I was freaking scrappy, man. I mean, I don't have any other like advice for somebody, as I was willing to work my face off, and I sucked. I embraced the suck, and I was the first one there. I was the last one to leave. And I was just relentless,
Yeah.
And it's like, do what you don't want to do now so that you don't have to do it. And then when you don't have to do it, you actually love it so much you keep doing it, like now.
I talk about that a lot in a sense of repetition.
Yeah.
I inject this in a lot of what Moved is about. And that is, the reality is that the thing that you want to do, if you lay out the plan for it, and I kind of go through this in many things, but if you already kind of lay out the date, like if I said it was the end date was January 1st, and I have to execute for the next, what is this, two months or whatever. And I look at that date and I actually manifest from that date backwards, and I anticipate where those problems are. And then I, in my mind, hurdle them before I even start. And when you do that, I talk about this quite often. It's the same thing. I talk about fighting often too, just because my own personal background and things, not violence, fighting. But ultimately, if you can make yourself comfortable, the more comfortable you get in the actual process, you can create a skill into an art. And then once you can create that art, that's when it gets beautiful, right? So you need that repetition to be able to get that art, because you need flow. You need it to kind of get in, ingrain that in. So I think what you're doing in this social impact and impacting people to, make their lives better. I think that your stories is super cool. I think that you expressed the grind. I saw on one of here, you had like a 2-hour and 40-minute live. So you definitely, I'm not here to just be somebody that, encourages a crazy person or anything like that. But at the end of the day, you have a great story, a lot of things to share, and I'm sure a lot of people can learn from you. Where can they find you? I've had such a great time.
Yeah. Oh, this is so fun, Jason. And thanks again for having me. And I love what you're doing. And I'll be picking your brain on all kinds of stuff. I keep wanting to like turn the interview around and like ask you all these questions. And I'm like, Michelle, just, so obviously Facebook and Instagram, Michelle Barnes Success Coach is my handle on those. Mentoringbymichelle.com. If you do mentoringbymichelle.com/goals, I have a free goal setting training. It's the most powerful goal setting training of the year. I've been doing it for 26 years now. And just my mission is for it to get better and better every single year. And so that's a free giveaway there. And on TikTok, I'm TikTok Lady Boss, TikTok Lady Boss. So.
Well, thank you so much. I've had a great time. I really appreciate it, Michelle. And make sure you look her up. She's an incredible person. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, guys.
If you like this episode, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just like Nike is to athletes, Moved is to entrepreneurs.